What do you think of what the F.I.R.E community has become?
I mean, I think F.I.R.E is a great skill set, especially like there's no F.I.R.E in Japan. Like this is them. They save, they give to their community. They don't, you know what I mean? Like they have a simple life. They understand the concept of enough, et cetera. And I think when Your Money or Your Life, when that came out, which launched the F.I.R.E community, that's kind of like their Bible, right? You know, I think they went into the extreme. It's become this like, how can I refreeze popcorn to get the popcorn out, right? And it's a lot of people, it's become savings porn, right? Which, you know, Your Money or Life was about getting in touch with your values and having a fulfilling life. That's what the book is about, right? And it suggests ways at which you can do that, like even taking less salary by not commuting as much and looking at your hourly wage, right? And I think the F.I.R.E community has kind of lost that, right? They've gone on to this like a version of, not completely, but a version of is like, I'm going to do 15 years in Sing Sing, and then when I get out, I'm going to live the life, you know, and I won't have to work anymore, et cetera. And I'm like, listen, while you're in jail, life is passing you by. You know, you're not meant to be in any kind of jail, whether it's your own jail of your mind that you're creating by not enjoying life now, or actually going into Sing Sing for some like prize, or some Mr. Beast prize. I got $50 million for somebody who would do 15 years in jail, you know, that type of thing. And so that's my criticism of the F.I.R.E movement. On the flip side, though, here in America, there is an epidemic of careless and wasteful spending and people living above their means and not thinking consciously about earning and saving. And so that's the good part about the F.I.R.E movement. But I think it teaches people to be like, not live their life.
So what if a person says, hey, I went 30 grand into debt so I could go and travel the world, but now my credit cards are all maxed out. I'm making $20 an hour. It's going to take me a decade to pay this thing off, but I had an epic time.
Might be worth it. I don't know. It's really about like, I would go into debt if that was the experience that I could have. And it depends. Like the F.I.R.E people are doing it in reverse, right? They're like, I'm going to grind out for 20 years and then I'm going to have this great trip. And this guy's like, I went into debt and I'm going to have to grind this way, right? Isn't it the same thing, right? Like
I guess so. Yeah.
It's a version of autopilot, right? Like they didn't think it through. It's like maybe there was a better way to do this, or maybe that was a proper way to do it.
Yeah.
You know? Right? They're just doing it in reverse, right? They're just grinding it out. And then when I'm 45, I'm going to have this great, wonderful life, right? Like, and this guy's like, no, f it, I'll go into debt and I'll grind it out later, right? Struggling, flipping burgers or whatever, right? But I think there's an in-between conscious way to think about this. Is like, where experiences belong, where? What are my resources? What are my future resources going to be like? And how do I allocate my resources through this period, right? That's the real way to do it. Right? Not like give up 10 years of your life so that you die with 10 years of your life to go to taxes and whoever randomly is going to get it, you know? So I think, you know, F.I.R.E is great and America needs more F.I.R.E than it needs the latter, but we need to be a little bit more conscious and intentional about these things. And I think F.I.R.E is great that it helps people get in touch with their values, right? When you start shedding the marketing and the right? I think they get more in touch with their values of what matters to them. They lose their ego, which is a great thing, et cetera. But they kind of get into this robotic thing, right? This kind of like addiction. See, look how much money I have. 3%. Look, I did this. But on the flip side, as much as I mock that, right? These guys are finding out all the hacks, right? Like I often say that, you know, I can be on a super yacht in the Amalfi Coast or whatever, and somebody somewhere is on a boat on a ferry having the same experience, soaking it all in and enjoying it, right? They're getting the same fulfillment and they're with their buddies and they're having a great time, right? So I think at all income levels, you can have that adventurous and fulfilling life, right? And you can top grade it and glaze it over if you want as you make more money, right? And so I think what the F.I.R.E guys do is they figure out like, you bought a house for this? Well, I found this deal. And you got a mortgage for that? And I found this deal. And like, you're buying shirts from here, like shirts online for this, right? And so like,
reverse image search and find a very accurate.
So what they're doing is they're reducing amount of life you have to give up for this level of fulfillment. And that's a sub category of like the wealth, right? And so
it's funny that's me to a T.
Yeah,
that's just like trying to figure out what is the best value for every single thing I could spend.
I could use you. It could be like, this $1 million is going to go a lot further in fulfillment, right? Like they're in the, I'm at the top level, right? Like I'm like your wealth, health, and time, and these guys are at us optimizing one of the columns, right? They're optimizing the wealth bucket so that for every dollar you spend, you get that much more fulfillment.
Yeah.
So what I would tell these guys, like, let's not do without, but let's just find the most efficient way to do it. Like, let's still get all these things, right? Let's still go to the club, but let's find the cheaper, more fun club with the better specials, right? You know what I mean?
It's funny.
The bottles here are $6,000. The bottles here are $2,000.
I posted a whole video on this 7 years ago. I went through all of my expenses and talked about ways to optimize them. And one of mine was like, I had a buddy who got a Thanksgiving bonus of like $200. This is when I was like 21 years old. Spent it all at the bar. The entire thing that night. I was like, it's ridiculous because you could have the same experience had he just gotten a bottle from the grocery store for $20. The whole thing, split it with his friends.
Oh, this is something I learned from Dan.
Yeah, just do that.
So
then you go to the bar and like, that's what I would do. I would never spend money in the bar. I would always just get a bottle from the grocery store.
And
sometimes you can have the bar
in the parking lot.
Sometimes you have the bar
in the parking lot. But then go into the bar and then I just order waters the entire night.
Well, this is one of the things you said, what I learned from Dan. And Dan would be like, look, why would you spend all this money in a club? We can spend like that much money, control the environment, have a party at our place, rent a place, have a party. You control the environment. You control the guest list. You are the man. So you have all the girls there, etc. Right? You're the one throwing the party, etc. As opposed to like one dude at a many, right? And like, those are the things you would do is like, why would you spend thousands and thousands of dollars, keep going to a club with, take that, throw one party, and you are the man.
The other thing that reminded me of going out to restaurants. Throughout my early 20s, I would never want to spend money at restaurants, but I still wanted the experience of going out with friends to restaurants. So what I would do is I would eat at home beforehand, but then go to the restaurant and order the least expensive thing on the entire menu, which is usually like a $10 salad. Right. And then what I would do is I'd bring cash. Because what would happen is that everyone would be like, oh my God, how do we split the bill? We have to throw in a credit card. And I don't want to throw in a credit card when their bills are like $100. Mine should be 10. So I'll bring like $20 cash and I throw my 20. I'm like, all right, I'm set. I don't have to worry about splitting this check.
They hated him. Both the restaurant and his friends. But yeah, I get it.
There was one time even, this is going to sound awful. There was one time I went to the restaurant. I asked them if I could bring in a Subway. And I brought in a Subway because there's a Subway, like a few little.
They let you bring in the Subway.
They let me bring in a Subway.
Jesus.
No, listen, I was in a group of like 12 people. So I just asked for a plate.
That's very
they
nice
brought me a plate. It was super nice. I mean, I left a tip, but I brought in a Subway and my meal was $6, whereas everyone else is like $40. It's the same experience.
I don't know if it's the same experience because you're not eating the same food.
I loved
the communal.
I love Subway.
The pasta.
The chicken and bacon ranch is delicious.
And the thing is, he also plays the waiting game, and he's like a scavenger. Where if they don't finish the food, he'll also get a little taste at the end.
Oh my gosh!
I have a thing for food waste. I hate wasting food, and so sometimes I'll see someone order like a big steak or something like this, they eat half, and then they send it back to be thrown away. And I'm like, that's $50 worth of food that they're throwing away in the trash that I would be happy to eat.
For Graham, it's always about increasing value. So like, as long as he's better off, he's just better. Steak right here. Yeah, you took a bite out of this carrot. Oh, okay, like, if I could avoid your teeth marks
so
in the carrot,
I see that as me getting paid for doing nothing. So let's just say in that situation, we're all out to eat at a dinner. We're all paying for our own meals. And you have half a steak that you're going to throw away. And your half of steak is worth $40. Me having your half a steak that would be thrown away is the equivalent to me making $40. That's how I see it.
I mean, you're not wrong. But, there is some entrepreneur out there who built this restaurant, whose hopes and dreams, that he doesn't want them to be inefficient. He wants them to eat the whole thing, but they didn't, that you're crushing. Because you're taking up the chair. That could be another patron who's a paying patron. And you're robbing him of his services indirectly. So, I mean, you're what you're saying is correct. You are getting paid. This is full optimizing your gaming, but you're over the entrepreneur. You know what I mean?
But the food's going to be thrown away. So it's their work is wasted. Isn't their work better off?
Let's put it down at the bottom of this video. Please don't waste food. Order appropriately. Don't waste food.
Yeah.
Order appropriately. We can put that at the bottom, and then you can go in and you can order your own food and support the business.
Yeah, but to Jack's point, though, there are some people that I would consistently go out with, and they would always have like half of their food thrown away. So I got in the habit of, there's no sense in me ordering.
You sound like my mom. My mom was like, where's some members of depression?
Yeah, but I personally wouldn't order because I knew if there's 4 people that I'm meeting with.
This is
that's
amazing.
2 full meals because they throw it away.
This is going to be on the cutting room floor, isn't it? This is not going to make the episode.
Licking his chops beside them. They're like, oh, you know what? Actually, you can.
It started to be a running joke, but like, but they would come over and throw away the food, like, and I say, oh wait, actually, could we get all this to go? And I would eat for like days.
Stand outside and panhandle for scraps. Why pretend? Just stand outside and panhandle for scraps. People definitely be like, just stand out and be like, hey, whatever you don't eat, because you pack it up and go. And they will do that.
I wish there were a service that would just go around restaurants and be like, whatever you're about to throw away, just put in this side of the restaurant.
They have that. They do have that for the homeless. Like they do give that out. There are those services. They're generally for the homeless, not you. But you could start a new trend.
I heard that they're not allowed to give that food to homeless because some of them get sick from it. Now it's the responsibility.
Not the half-eaten ones, no, but the ones that are not sold.
Okay. So Graham will take the stuff that the homeless people reject.
Well, they won't allow. They won't allow.
Legally, the homeless people can't even ingest.
Yes, but like if you stand outside the restaurant and be like, "Hey, whatever you don't eat, could you put it in a go?" I'm sure everybody will.
If it were not for people like Jack and my wife just getting really embarrassed by that, and for like social norms, like I would be doing a lot of this stuff.
I feel you. Like the hive mind is like, no, this isn't right, and you're like, no, this is right.
I hold back out of fear of embarrassing the people around me.
And I apprapprate that. Sometimes like even last night, like, which is fine, but like we were checking into our hotel and like the guy was like, oh, do you live here in Texas? And Graham's like, no, why? And he's like,
you said no.
I said no, why? I'm not gonna lie. And then he said, oh, because there's a locals discount. And Graham's like, oh, well, in that case, we live here in Texas. And then the guy was like,
in a very joking way.
The guy was like, oh, ha, ha, ha. And Graham's like, no, seriously, like, do you guys have a discount or anything? He's like, yeah, it's a little bit of a discount. And Graham's like, well, what? Like, the guy's kind of trying to like swat him away like a fly. Like, oh, like,
he was laughing.
He was laughing. Like, granted, I'm making it sound worse than it is. He was really kind of laughing and playing along a little bit, but still, like, if I get one rejection for like Graham, like, probably asked. Finally, on his like 3rd or 4th time of like, what will we have to do, to try to get a little.
Well, with this restaurant thing, he's going to save more money than he ever made because he's going to fucking be getting free food. He's like, well, I view that as $40. I'm like, he keeps doing things like this.
And they ended up giving us, some sort of a discount at least.
Yeah, they did.
It is nice.
It was successful.
But he was, successful. But he was laughing a lot. It wasn't that. Jack said, no, we didn't. And I'm like, do we get a discount if we do? And the guy said, yeah. And I'm like, well, in that case, yeah, I guess we live in Texas. And he laughed at it. And then I jokingly said something like, are you able to apply something if we're like visiting friends in Texas? He's like, you know what? Yeah, I could do that. Like something like that.
To me, it's just like, I don't know, maybe it's an ego thing too, but I'm like, I just don't like defying social norms.
Well, I think it's negotiate, like hotels and mattresses, you can always negotiate on. Always. So he's found something, right? Like that one's, and your ego's like, I don't want to look like an idiot. You should lose that part. But like the food one,
yeah, pick and choose your battles. Maybe.
I mean, we're going further and further along the spectrum.
See, almost anywhere I go, if I'm alone, I ask for the employee discount. But I want to say, like, discount tire. Oh my gosh, I saved like $300 recently, just because I was joking with the guy, and I'm like,
I need this guy in my life.
If there's like he's gonna. But I want to.
You are a subroutine that needs to be running, and everybody needs that subroutine to a certain degree.
But but I'm never a Karen about it. But it's always like a really joking, friendly sort of like, hey man, could we hook this up, or like. But usually they're all like, all right, yeah, okay. And then they type in like a few things, and then
they're never like, of course, man, I'd love to give you the same thing I'm giving everyone else, but for a little bit cheaper. Like they're never like enthusiastic to do it.
But enterprise, Jack, that you benefited from that.
So this got me to a question, like a question for both of you that I think is like, it seems like you spend a lot of time and a lot of mental energy on the saving side. Mm-hmm. How much mental energy do you spend on the revenue side?
Just as much.
Because I went the opposite way. When I read Your Money or Your Life, it was like, all these frugal exercises and saving money. I went that way. But what it really wanted me to do is like, oh, there's another way to solve for this problem. Having so much money that you don't give a such that it's not worth my time to even ask for the discount. Like the 2 minutes speaking for the discount, wow, I've lost so much money.
Yes and no. I see my time as having different values throughout different times of the day. Like
like that.
right now, my time is really, really, really valuable. But at 10 p.m. at night, my time is worthless for the most part. So if my time is worthless, I may as well utilize that time effectively. Same thing with on an airplane. My time is worth 0. So I try to do an activity where at least it's not worth 0. So if I'm out at AutoZone getting my tires replaced, it's going to be, I'm there regardless. So like spending that extra 2 minutes is going to be the same thing. So I may as well optimize it.
I can see some of the variable value in a person's time. I don't do that as much, but to that extent. But I do realize like my free time is way, way, way more valuable than my work time because that's the reward, and you don't want to fuck up the reward. So it's like time with my daughters. If something comes up, I'm just like everything's out, right? Unless I absolutely have to, higher obligation or made a commitment. But if it's like, oh, these things that are going to go away and I'm going to get to spend less time with, if they like, oh yes, I will spend time with you, everything stops. So there is some variable in the value of time, but not that much.
It might be different with kids. Would you say that's the case?
Oh yeah, it's always, I mean,
okay.
It's really your priority stack, right? Like you'll have this priority stack, whatever is going on, your kids, your family, your friends, your hobbies, your interests, your work, whatever, and you'll arrange this priority stack. And they have the way to interrupt your subroutines, right? Like this one, the highest one can interrupt this one can interrupt this one, and it shouldn't go this way, that much. Very, very, very hard to go this way, very easy to interrupt going that way, right? And so that's kind of the way I look at it, the mental model I have in my head. But even with you can get to a wealth level or earnings level where none of it matters. You won't waste the time. Like, people write these things like if Bill Gates dropped $100, it wouldn't be worth the time that he spent to pick up the $100 type of thing. I mean, that's kind of like a big extreme example, but you can get to where it's like, it's not worth negotiating. It's not worth even talking about. It's not worth wasting the neurons even thinking about it. That's kind of what I wanted, right? That was, I haven't gotten there, but that's the goal, right? Like, I don't worry about it. I don't ask the price. Not worried about the price. It's not going to affect my life.